And there it is, the 2022 film slate with the two TV shows in there. This is the definitive slate. I actually worked on several different versions of the slate, tried to get it to be what I wanted it to be, and I finally got it to be the definitive slate. This will be the one that I'm going with. All the projects, this will be the ones that are coming out in 2022. These 10 projects, and let's begin to talk about these. So first, let's start off with When Doom Meets Iron. This will be the sequel to the movie Doctor Doom that I made back in December 2020, and this was supposed to be a part of the 2022 slate. It is, but then I changed it to the 2021 slate, and then things got complicated, so now it's back to this slate. And I'm actually, as of right now, I'm about to finish filming this movie, and I'm super proud of how it's turned out. I think it's going to be great. So basically what happened with Iron Man, this Iron Man he's been Iron Man for like 15 years. He's super experienced, and around the time when Doctor Doom became Doctor Doom and he was having his rampage around the city in the first film, Rhodey was actually a soldier that was sent to try and take down Doom, but he ended up dying, and that made Iron Man super sad. So then Iron Man has sworn to find Doom and hunt him down and destroy him. He's got his own vendetta, basically. And for the past 2 years, Doom has been in hiding in Latveria, but he gets his cover blown. They find out where he's at, so then he has to go back to New York, and that is where Iron Man and Doom fight. There will be some cool things going on for Iron Man's character. For example, this Iron Man, the public doesn't seem to like this Iron Man anymore. They think they don't need him, and that New York is better off without him because a major catastrophe happened in the past 2 years involving Iron Man and Crimson Dynamo. So now Iron Man is kind of this figure that people don't really like, and he's not trying to win back their trust or anything. He's just still trying to do the right thing, Tony Stark, and I'm very proud of how his character turned out. I can't say much about this. I am keeping a lot of stuff from being said, and I don't want to spoil anything. I can't wait for this movie. And here we have Batman Revival. This, you probably don't know what this is, just judging by how it looks and everything, but this is actually the sequel to Batman Habit. I changed the title from The Dark Knight Falls to Revival, because I think it fit the revival of Jason Todd better, and him coming out of the shadows and everything. And the fun fact, this bat symbol is actually a jack-o'-lantern from 2021 Halloween, but I got rid of the background, and now that's the bat symbol. And this is Jason Todd. His death in the beginning of Batman Habit was a huge thing for Batman and a huge thing for the plot, really, because Batman started to lose it and become more ruthless. And the truth is, Jason actually survived. When the ambulance took him, he broke out and escaped and went into hiding. He wanted to get revenge on all the villains and make Gotham a better place, basically do what Batman did in Batman Habit, but he saw Batman doing it for him, so he kind of just sat back and relaxed and watched. Well, now, Batman's back to his no-kill rule. He's basically the good old Batman again, and Red Hood does not like that, so Jason does not like that, and he becomes Red Hood and comes out of the shadows, very much to Bruce's surprise, and there's going to be a conflict between Red Hood and Batman. And there'll be other villains in here too, like Deadshot. And then the third film in the DCCU, the first DCCU film in this slate, Batwing Phantasm, a sequel to the movie Batwing, the first movie in the DCCU. And Green Arrow took place around Christmas time, December, and this movie coincides with that. It takes place around the same time, so these movies are kind of going on around the same time. They're not really, involved. The movies aren't really, you don't need to watch this movie to watch that movie or anything. They're not connected like that, but they're just kind of going on at the same time. And with Batwing 1 taking place a few months before that, almost a year. So Max Scott has been Batwing, protecting Gotham City for almost about a year now, and he's been very beloved, but then he starts to lose the trust of Gotham's public, because they start to think that he could be a bit dangerous with his powers and how advanced his suit is and how he just kind of came out of nowhere, even though the civilians are familiar with Batman, even though he came out of nowhere in the last 20 years. There will also be a new main villain taking the place of Scarecrow as Firefly, Garfield Lynn's a pyromaniac who gets broken out of prison by Carmine Falcone, and Deadshot, who will return as other villains in the movie. And this movie will also include, as the title says, the Phantasm, but a new version, one that takes on the mantle, and we don't know who this is until the end of the movie. So there'll be kind of a mystery to it, kind of like in the first Phantasm movie. and they're not a bad guy. They're fighting crime, but Batwing's a bit confused by that. Like, this person just showed up out of nowhere, so he's kind of confused about this. So there is a conflict between Batwing and Phantasm. And the movie will also explore just the character of Max Scott Moore and his friendships and all that. And I just can't wait to film it. In the first of 2 TV shows in the 2022 not-so-film slate anymore, because TV shows, was Kane Parker, the Scarlet Spider. Now, Kane Parker was first introduced in last year 2 Rise of the Symbionts. He was definitely the standout character in that, in my opinion. I loved his character from the moment I started filming. And I really feel like he was probably almost maybe the best character in the movie, in my opinion. I was super proud of how his character turned out. As a matter of fact, as of right now, he is on the New Avengers Season 3 as one of the standout characters, in my opinion. And now he's got his own spotlight, he's got his own show, his own spin-off. That was one of the thoughts. I had to get this guy a spin-off. And his journey will continue. He'll realize that his past with Life Foundation and all that is not quite done yet. He'll figure out the true reason behind the cloning, what created him, and it'll lead him to meet people like Morbius, who will actually show up in the show, and a certain new Avenger will also show up as a cameo and will help Scarlet Spider, Kane Parker. Alright, so Spectacular Spider-Man next up on this slate. I wanted to make this back in January 2020. That's when I first started the idea, but I never really got to make it in the following years. But now I'll finally be able to make it. And this one will be the typical origin of Peter Parker Spider-Man, but instead of going for fantastical villains like Green Goblin and Scorpion Electro and all of them, I wanted to tone it down more and use villains like Tombstone, Hammerhead, Kingpin, with Kingpin as the final boss. And it'll really tie into Spider-Man's origin and Uncle Ben and all of that. I can't wait to show this movie, and this will be the first in a trilogy, actually. And Spidey's suit will be unique and different from anything that we've seen in like the past movies. Once I had the figure, I knew I had to make a movie with that guy. And I did. That's what this is. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I think it's going to be awesome. And here we have the next DCCU film after Batwing Phantasm, The Joker. Now there's been a lot of stuff about the Joker in Green Arrow, Jack Napier, who has actually long been dead for like a lot of years, so Joker isn't really around anymore. And this isn't like a taking on the mantle, but this is more of someone who was inspired by the Joker. So basically, Jerry is a run-of-the-mill criminal who joined a group of robbers, and he's really the runt of the litter, basically. He's not experienced or anything, he's kind of just there because he's friends with one of them and everything, and he's like fake friends, basically. And they're off to a mission on Ace Chemicals to try and get something, a toxin or something, but everything goes wrong, they have to escape, but Jerry is left for dead, and he accidentally falls into a vat of acid. He survives, and he's transformed. Now he's like the Joker. Of course, Jack Napier in the DCU, he didn't have any of the vat of acid or anything, but this one did. And first thing he wants to do is get revenge on his teammates for leaving him for dead. But then, as he continues his path and his character development, he becomes more of the criminal mastermind, the supervillain, as the Joker. And next up on this slate is Batman Night of Fury, which takes place seconds after the Joker movie, as Jerry's new Joker wreaks havoc on Gotham City, and Batman, Batwing, and Nightwing must do whatever it takes to stop him. They must team up, split up, all of that. And in this movie, we get to explore the mythology around Batman, his history, since in Batwing, we just see him, he's been him for over a decade as Batman. We don't really know the origins or anything, so we'll talk about, mention, imply, like all that stuff, just get to explore his backstory more, and the things that happened in his time as the hero, which I think will be cool. And there will also be introducing Nightwing for the first time. There'll be a cool teamwork dynamic with him and Batwing that I think will be really cool. Can't wait for you guys to see this. Next up is Technovirus. This will be, the Justice League have existed in the DCCU, but they have since been disbanded in the following years. So they haven't been really teamed up. They'll, of course, team up for big Avengers level threat events, like, say, if Darkseid shows up, or anything like that. But as far as of now, they have split, the Justice League. Batman's over doing his own thing, and so is Green Arrow, and Superman, and all that. But then, something from space, with Kryptonian origins, crashes to Earth, and it's a bit of a virus, basically. It has the power to take control of any technology at once. I'm talking cars, planes, all of that, mainly Batwing's suit, since Max Scott has a very technological suit. So I think that'll be a cool thing to explore, as he won't be able to control the suit. He'll be inside the suit, but the suit will be acting as a villain for a while, which I think will be cool. And this virus will eventually turn into, or develop into, the villain Brainiac. And the Justice League will have to team up, like Green Arrow, Superman, Batman, all of them will have to team up to stop them. And next up after that is the second Justice League type movie in the DCU multiverse, a DCCU film. This one will be the first to explore the multiverse with a multiverse villain, a very obscure one, Imperiex. And in order for the Justice League, Batwing, Green Arrow, and all of them to stop them, they will need to get to know the multiverse and explore it more. For example, we'll see the Flash, but the kind of thing that starts it is the Flash from another universe gets transported to this universe, and he's like, you gotta help me. So then, that's when they realize the threat of Imperiex, so they have to explore the multiverse and figure out how to stop him. And Max Scott Batwing will actually meet a counterpart, a variant of him from another world. And I think there'll be a cool teamwork, like a cool dynamic between those two and how they interact and everything. Best bros, but the same person, maybe. Kind of, technically. And the same thing will happen with Superman, but this version of Superman, his variant counterpart, is from another world where it's the Justice Syndicate instead of the Justice League. So I think that would be cool to explore. That obviously means that Ultraman is not going to be a thing in this DCCU, not this Justice Syndicate, which I will explain later. And I think this will be a very fun movie. And here we have the final one on this list, Justice Syndicate. And like I said about Multiverse, a DCCU film, when Clark Kent meets his variant, his counterpart, that is from this world of the Justice Syndicate instead of the Justice League, this is the Justice Syndicate that he was talking about, that the Superman is from, so we will see that Superman. And this version, is basically, instead of the Justice League, you got the Justice Syndicate. They're pretty much the same thing, except it's the crime syndicate from the comics. You got people like Power Ring, Sea King, and all that. Not Ultraman or Owlman, because those are just Batman. That's like one of the only changes, really. But, yeah, and the leader is Captain Batwing, a variant counterpart of Max Scott in this universe. Not the one that Max meets and interacts with, not that counterpart, but one from the world of that Superman counterpart. And Captain Batwing, he doesn't have his Batwing suit anymore. He's kind of got his own type of Superman-looking suit going on. And he's got the Boy Scout personality and everything, but truth is, he's actually a villain. He's actually evil. He actually got rid of Batman in order to take his place as the leader, and he is absolutely maniacal, an egomaniac. He is crazy. I cannot wait for you guys to see this villain. Captain Batwing is one of my favorite characters to come out of this DCCU. He's awesome. He is very different from the Batwing in all the other universes, let's just say that. And Tim Drake actually witnessed the death of Batman, and he wants revenge, so he assembles Shazam, who's a superhero here, but not really a bad one, and the Riddler. He actually teams up with the Riddler, one of Batman's villains, and they all plan to take down Justice Syndicate, including like Power Ring and Sea King and Captain Batwing and all that. This is going to be a super fun one, and I can't wait.